wow moment, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with you as always. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and an open heart to your listening experience, and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you will be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, if you're a longtime P-Head listener, you know I have been diligently working on producing episodes for my new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video talk show, Optimistic. Well, after a year plus in the making, I am thrilled to announce that we will be releasing Season 1's episodes weekly beginning March 15th, and I'm asking for your help to spread the love and to let your friends and family know about Optimistic when it's released. In exchange for taking a minute to share our Episode 1 teaser video on March 15th, or whenever you're hearing this, up through the end of April, we're giving you monthly memberships to not one, but two consciousness-expansive online content portals from two of my very favorite teachers and healers that are valued at over $50 a month, as well as entering your name into a drawing to win a free week at the Mystic Manor for a retreat immersion valued at $2,950, where the winner will be chosen in April. Otherwise, if you're interested in hearing more details about the rewards you'll receive for supporting, we'll send you a video that goes into detail when you text the word Mystic to the number 22999. You can also go to optimistic.tv to see several other videos, including the Optimistic show trailer and two videos that discuss the week-long retreat immersion, as well as details of what the Mystic Manor immersion entails and how you can book a week to come stay with us even if you don't win the raffle.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today on this special edition Soul Share episode with Dr. Q Moayad. Did I say that right, Dr. Q? Close
yes,
enough,
indeed,
yeah.
Dr. Q, perfectly pronounced.
Excellent, thank you. So you guys, I met Dr. Q at the Conscious Life Expo this year in Los Angeles. And I just want to tell the story of how we met because first of all, his work is completely fascinating, but I met him and hung out with him for 2 full nights, had a great time. Just, we're getting to know each other, just friends in a place. And Sunday morning, I'm walking around and I come upon this booth and here's Dr. Q. And I'm like, oh, is this your booth? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, what is this? This looks fascinating. Indian palm leaf reading. And I was floored because for 2 full days, hanging out with you, talking to you, I had no idea that you did such fascinating work. So I fell in love with you, Dr. Moore, because God, so humble. I just love your humility and I just love you. And I'm so happy to have you on the show. So the way we start here is I ask you a question.
Sure.
You're on an elevator. A woman is in the elevator with you or a man, someone. They turn to you and ask you a question. You have 10 floors to answer. The question is, what is your passion? Yeah,
we start now?
You have 10 floors from right now.
Oh, geez. 9, 8. Well, my passion are people, period. That's what it is. Making people happy. Because making people happy makes me happy. And it's a win-win for everyone. Or helping people, really, I should say. Helping people. That makes me happy.
I love it.
That's a passion. That's it. Simple. Very simple.
Simplicity is the best.
It took one
just one floor. Yeah.
Floor.
We have a few more left.
Yes.
So let's get into your work and your background a little bit. So Indian palm leaf reading. First, tell us a little bit what this is. I've never heard about this, and I just find it, like I said, so fascinating. So tell us about it.
Sure thing. Well, first and foremost, if you haven't noticed yet, and hence I'm sorry to just burst the bubble, I'm not an Indian. Odd, I know. So I'm a white guy who does Indian things, which is rather odd. It doesn't, there's got to be a story to that, obviously. Otherwise, an Indian will be talking about it. It's a very much Indian thing, Southern Indian, I should say. And I say it called Tamil Nadu. It's the southernmost big state in India, and 85 million people live in this one state alone.
Wow.
So it's a big state, yes. Chennai being the capital city up in the northern parts of it has, I don't know, 10, 15 million in just one city. It's a mega city. And the whole thing happens in the central parts of it. That's where Saga has it 3,000 years ago. Enlightened sages called cities or Maharishis. Maharishi means great sage. Wrote on the dried palm leaves, hence palm leaf reading, because 2,000 years ago there was no paper. They were meditating to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva gave them the power of foresight. So these Maharishis then started to dictate to their disciples the lives of millions of people on these dried little palm leaves. And similar souls, if you wish, because each palm leaf represents a soul, travel together in a bundle. And, I came prepared, if you wish, and I brought a bundle with me. So for those of you who see this on YouTube, it's a bundle. For those of you who just listen and can't see, 2,000 years ago, what they did is they cut palm leaves, from palm trees, the leaves into about, I don't know how long is this, like 10 inches maybe, 10 inches times, maybe 1 inch or so. And while it was still juicy and fresh, they etched into it the information, and then it would dry up, and that's how you have the information preserved. Hence, these when they dry up, they become very brittle, very sensitive, and so they put them into bundles, and each bundle has a cover. It's a wooden cover, the top and the bottom, and in between you got these dried palm leaves. And these dried palm leaves, given how humid it is in India, they survive 100, maybe 300 years, and then they just disintegrate and they're gone. So what they do is readers, priests, if you wish, in the old days would just copy them over to new palm leaves, and that's how they survived millennia. Kind of like what monks used to do in Europe, copying over books. Same system, just different material, in this case being palm leaves. So these bundles are stored in, for the most part, southern India, in the state of Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, we have Tamil people who speak Tamil language. Most of the rest of India speaks Hindi. So it's a minority within a large country. Of course, some of them speak Hindi too, but their native tongue is Tamil. So these palm leaves were written in Tamil language. And if you want to win Jeopardy or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at some point in the future, Tamil language is older than Sanskrit. Just saying. What you need in order to find, should I continue, or do you want to? So now yeah, should I continue? So these bundles are in archives all over southern India for the most part. Before they spread, now you can find archives all over India and even in other parts of the world too, like Sri Lanka, because Tamil people are in Sri Lanka. You find them in Bali. So in different parts of the world, you will find these bundles too. And you will also find bundles and palm leaves that were written in Sanskrit, not just in Tamil, but the real original first oldest are the ones written in Tamil by these Maharishis. And there were 18 of them, 18 Maharishis. The most important one of them is called Maharishi Agastya, plus 17 others. That means we have thousands upon thousands, millions maybe of these bundles all over India in archives. So when you think of archive, coming from a northern, Western country, you might think air conditioned and climate controlled and this and the other. The reality of it is a dingy little place, hot, dirty, hole in the wall somewhere, and that's where they're stored. And the only way to find out whether you have a bundle, which hopefully contains your individual palm leaf, is by submitting your thumbprint. For ladies, left, and for gents, right thumbprint. It has to do with Hindu traditions, the female side and the male side, so hence left ladies and right gents. And then the reader would look at your thumbprint and he would realize patterns in it, and each pattern has a name. According to Hindu traditions, there are 108 characteristics to a thumbprint. 108 is a holy number in Hinduism. By the way, you need to know this is not a religious act at all, zero. But obviously 2,000 years ago, when these enlightened sages were meditating to Lord Shiva, they only knew about Hinduism. So it is anchored in Hinduism, but it's not a religious act at all. So you can keep the religion that you have. We might be talking about it at a later point, because some people get a little concerned if they have to now do some Hindu stuff. No, you can continue believing whatever you believe in. It won't interfere with it at all. So so these are stored in these little archives. The reader is the educated person, can find your bundle, then identify your palm leaf, and then read it to you. That person is called a reader. And the reader is one of the very few people left in Tamil Nadu who speaks ancient Tamil, because these palm leaves are written in ancient Tamil. He would look at your palm, at your thumbprint, and he would find these a combination of a few of these 108 characteristics in your thumbprint, because you don't have all 108, you only have a few of them. And that combination gives it a name, a specific name. And that name already tells a good story about you, a very complete story about you. So the name alone is already a very good indication about who you are, because they're using names of flowers and planets and this and that, the other. And he will explain to you, this is the name, that's the meaning of your thumbprint. And when you know yourself, you're like, oh my God, it really describes me pretty well. Obviously makes a difference whether you're water lily, whether you have water lily in your thumbprint name, or rose. A rose is beautiful, but it has thorns, and a water lily just floats on water. So he will explain to you, this is your name. That's what your thumbprint name means. And that's a good starting point for then going into the reading. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's a 3-step process, very simple, 3 steps. One is search, then comes the matching, then comes the reading. Now, search is a physical act, and it's based upon your gender and your thumbprint, as I told you before. So the reader only knows this about you, that you're female, in your case, Erica, because you started your journey a couple of weeks ago. So he knows that you're born in the United States, that you're female, and has your left thumbprint. And it's already in our Indian office, and he's looking at your thumb impression, and I'm sure he's already identified the name of your thumbprint. It's very important, because he then, literally he's using a magnifying glass, because I've seen it many times, and then he identifies the pattern in your thumbprint, and then he goes on a search, a physical search. And you might think, coming from North America, Western Europe or so, when you search, you're like, okay, I'm just going to go into database and then search. No, we're India. If you think that the United States, Canada, Western Europe is an organized place, well, think the opposite of it. That's India, completely disorganized. And I'm speaking as a person who really loves India. I really do. But for those who have not been to India, it's rather chaotic for a Western person, to put it simply. So then he will knowing your thumbprint, the name of your thumbprint, he will then go from one archive to the next, to the next, to the next, which means he hops on his bicycle or on his little moped, or uses the bus, sitting on a bus, and then goes from one little archive to the next, because these are small archives in which maybe there are 100 of bundles, or maybe 1,000 bundles. It's a hole in the wall, really, and they know other readers, and they know places where these are stored. So it's a physical act, and it takes a while. On average, a month to 2, give or take. It's a journey, because it doesn't happen overnight. So what he does is he looks at your thumbprint, and he goes to the first archive that he knows, and he goes to the next archive, and the next, and further away, and further and further away. We usually look for 6 months, because we think if we find some within 6 months, then you were meant to have your reading now. And if we don't find it within 6 months, it simply means that you do not need the guidance that you're looking for through these palm leaves. Don't be desperate, Erica, or don't be upset, because all that it means is not now, because these palm leaves are based on your energies at the time of the reading, and your energies change every year, which means if it's not your time this year, it could be next year. So all you do is you just start a new search with new impressions, and then the journey begins again. So after a while, the reader finds a bundle or 2, pulls them out of the archives and says, "Yep, on the cover of this bundle, there is a name which matches the name of your thumbprint." That means all the palm leaves in this one bundle. For my listeners only, I'm showing this bundle to Erica now. It's matching you. That means you're traveling with other people that are similar souls. You do not know them. They're not related to you at all. It could be a lady from Australia. It could be a gentleman from Japan. Who knows? Because these bundles or these palms are written for souls a long time ago. However you reincarnate now, as a male, female, transgender, doesn't really matter which country. And so they travel together. So he then lets you know, or we then let you know, hey, congratulations, Erica, we found a bundle for you. And then you would, if you're in India, you would walk into the office. Now, when you think of an office, you think an air conditioned, water dispenser. No, we're talking India. It's a hole in the wall. It's hot as hell. Mosquitoes, humid, tiny. You sit there, and the reader would then open up this bundle in front of you to then start the second step in the process called the matching. And that is the fascinating part, because you can verify it. Very important is that the reader only knows that you're female, in your case, and your thumbprint. He does not know anything else about you, right? So he would then open up the bundle, and then he will go through each of these palm leaves step by step. Important is also to know that Tamil language, modern and ancient Tamil, is a syllabic language, sound-based language, like Chinese Mandarin, unlike any other Western language, which is a letter-based language, A, B, C, D, and so forth. Now, the skill set of the reader is to convert a sound in Tamil into a meaningful letter in your case, English. Readers usually don't speak English, so we also have an interpreter who sits next to the reader, who then interprets Tamil to English, or rather Hinglish, heavy accented in English. And it's also not written in complete sentences, but it's written in a poetic form, which means it's the reader's skill set to convert a poet into a meaningful Western modern sentence, and also all those sounds into a meaningful letter in English through the interpreter. Now, because a sound can be converted into different letters depending on the interpretation, he would, for example, I'm just giving you an idea how your experience will be. He would look at the very first palm leaf and say, oh, you're married, because this palm leaf belongs to a person who's married. If you say correct, he stays on it. If you say incorrect, I'm not married, or because we're in a Western world and it's 2020, if you're in a long-term relationship, it means the same as being married. You got to look at it from through the eyes of 2,000 years ago. So if you're in a long-term relationship, then it means you're married. So he stays on it. So it's correct. If you're not, then he would move on to the next palm leaf. He would then, for example, say your first name contains the letter A, I, O, because that's how I can convert the sound into Western letters. If you say correct, in your case, A, I, O, Erica, yes, you say yes, correct. My first name has an I in it. That's how he goes deeper and deeper and deeper into the palm leaf until, and it takes about 20 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on how fast he goes. He then will tell you, not knowing anything about you, only that you're female and your thumbprint, he will then tell you your first name, your mother's first name, your father's first name, your date of birth, your time of birth, kids if you have any, how many, gender, husband's name if you have one, siblings if you have any, gender. It's you, literally. And mind my French, you crap your pants. It's like, holy smokes, that's what happened to me. Really, that's what happened to me too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about this to a Western audience. So it's called matching, and it's you. Like, oh my gosh, that's me. There is no doubt. If there is a doubt, then it's not you. It's a very simple guideline, right? That's called matching. Matching means we identified, or the reader identified, your individual palm leaf within the bundle. It's yay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So search is completed, matching is completed, and then we start the reading. So the whole purpose of doing these two steps is to get your reading done. And the reading is based on your energies at the time of the reading, not your mood, not if you had a fight with your husband the day before, or a great mood because you made love to him before. No, it makes no difference at all whether you're happy or not. It's just your energy. It's important for me to tell you too, because people say, oh, I'm in a bad mood, I didn't sleep well. It makes no difference really. And your energies change every year. So that's the only thing that's important, is within that year, your energies, the way um, you are in the cycle at the time of the reading. And the reading starts with the moment matching is done. Okay, that's when the reading starts. And it's based on your energies. Very important for me to tell you too. So based on your energies, and it starts with the moment matching is done. So the reading starts, and it gives you a likely trajectory of your life based on your energies until you die. Until you die. And it comes in blocks of years, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year blocks. And it covers all aspects of life that are important to a human being. Obviously, relationship, love affairs. That's the reason why I tell everyone you need to have the matching and reading done alone. Don't have your partner or mother, parents, kids next to you, because they will impact your energies, and then you will give different answers, and that's not so good. Believe me, I've done so many readings by now. I know the most important aspect is that you're by yourself. No one interferes with your energy, so you can be as open as possible. So because you want to get a good reading, right? And then feel free to share it with anyone else that you want to, but during the process, be by yourself. So then it comes in blocks of and it covers all aspects of life. Kids and grandchildren, of course, education, money, career, health, anything you possibly think of. And it gives you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in case you haven't realized yet, Erica,
Exactly.
life is not just milk and honey. Not just. Every morning I wake up and I think it's just milk and honey, but boy, oh boy, sometimes I realize it's not. So, so you can see the good and the bad and the ugly. And the good news is, and that's the reason why I want to get a reading done. And many people ask me, hey, why should I get a reading done? Two aspects, and I will tell you why I got a reading done. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about this. As a Western kid, the very first, as far as I know, who brings you to the West, as a non-Indian, I should say, is you want to improve your trajectory, period. So you want to lead a better life afterwards. And somehow overcome challenges that the reader will tell you now about your future. So it will say there will be a marital issue, there will be a health problem, there will be, I don't know, whatever it is in the future. So look at the reading in two ways. One is the reader will tell you there is sunshine coming up during this period. Sunshine, beautiful. So buy yourself sunglasses. You can enjoy the sunshine, and suntan. So you're prepared for it. But it will also tell you, oh, there is some storm coming up. Not so good. Buy yourself, an umbrella so that you can weather the storm. That's it. That's how I look at it. Plus, it's not set in stone. It's not. Many people get worried about, oh my gosh, it's all set in stone. There's nothing to do about it. No, it gives you a likely trajectory based on the energies at the time of the reading. And it's your job, your duty to improve it, so just take the advice that's been given to you, and then get a better life out of it, whatever better means to you. And I will tell you what better meant to me and why I got the reading done myself. So that's about the future, and the reading is based on star constellation and on your karma. 1, 2. And for each challenge that the reader can identify for you in your future, you will be given homework at the end of the reading. Okay, so the 3 parts is search, matching, reading. And the reading itself starts with explaining your thumbprint name. And then comes the reading. And at the end of the reading, you can ask as many questions as you possibly want to. And then the reader will look into your palm and say, there is an answer, there is no answer. It's neither good nor bad, it just is. And then if you carry karma from a past life, he will give you a karmic reading. Meaning, who were you, your name, the country you lived in, which year, your social status, your job, and it's pretty intricate, I'm telling you, and what you did at the time to now be stuck in whatever vicious cycle you're stuck in, if you carry karma. And if you don't carry karma, then he tells you, oh, you don't carry karma, and I will say, lucky you. Enjoy that you don't carry karma, because most of us do carry karma, obviously, and that's the reason why I had my reading done, but I will get to that in a moment. So he will give you karmic reading, and then it will give you pujas. Puja, literally translated, means prayer, but in modern terminology, it means homework, really. What you need to do to fix whatever issue there is. And he will give you puja for each challenge that he can identify during the reading. Also, one for the karma, if there is one. And it's a lengthy process. Lengthy, I'm telling you, 6 to 12 months. And you got to do something every week. And there is no wiggle room it's written precisely what you need to do, like 7 Wednesdays in a row. Do this mantra or chant dedicated to this god or goddess. Wednesday means Wednesday, not Tuesday, not Thursday. So you got to start. You have time between midnight and midnight. So that means you got to be completed with it by midnight within Wednesday. If you go 2 minutes into Thursday already, has your puja been done on a Wednesday? No, it hasn't. Very simple. I know. I'm trying to be, relaxed and funny about it, but the issue is you're being given very precise instructions, and you really got to stick with it. And I will also explain to you why. So it's usually a mantra or a chant or a meditation dedicated to a god or goddess within Hinduism, and that's now addressed to the people who are like, "Oh my gosh, do I have to become a Hindu now?" No, you don't. Again, remember, you got to look at it in the context of 2,000 years ago. It's just helping you to focus your mind on something. And if people say, "Oh, I'm a Catholic or I'm Jew," whatever, it doesn't make any difference. Well, then print out a picture of Jesus or Virgin Mary and then dedicate your thoughts to them. But ideally, we just follow what they tell you, because every mantra is dedicated to a god or goddess, and you will have several of them. And the mantra could be repeat this 17 times, one sentence, or 3 times this whole paragraph, or whatever it might be. I do not know. Everyone's different. But it could also be a physical act, like something you physically need to do. For example, in my case, was feed the needy on 2 consecutive Wednesdays, I think it was. And obviously, I was like, "Well, what do you mean by feed the needy?" So I asked my interpreter. I said, "Can you ask him? What does it mean? Should I do a soup kitchen? Should I donate money?" And then, what the reader said, "Oh, you figure it out." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was sweating. Anyway, so how I figured it out is because I didn't want to miss one puja, because if you miss it,
all
you have to
over
start
again.
from scratch.
Wow.
So if it's
Okay.
if it's 7
Good.
Wednesdays in a row, your puja, and you miss the 6th or 7th, you got to start with the 1st, because each puja is like its own little universe. So once it's done, the 7 Wednesdays, you're done, and you move on to the next. And I just didn't want to interrupt it at all. The 2 Wednesdays was simple enough. And I remember, because in my reading, my reader told me that I'll move to Budapest. Now I live in Budapest, which is the capital city of Hungary, which is in Central Europe, for those of you who do not know where it is. And I will tell you also why and so forth. Anyway, so I'm in Budapest by then, and I see this elderly woman who I thought, sitting in a cafe, who doesn't have money or is not doing too well financially. At that moment, it came to me, because I was sweating until that moment. What should I do? Really, I had no clue, because I just moved to Budapest. I do not know anyone really, as I'm a total stranger there. And then that's what hit me is so I told the waiter, "You know what? I'm gonna pay for her. Well, she had a soup and whatever, but don't tell her. Awesome." So I've been doing random acts of kindness ever since. My reading was 6 or 7 years ago, and it's a pretty cool thing. And if you haven't done so yet, I can only encourage anyone and everyone who's listening to the show, just do this. It's so cool. You just tell someone, tell the waiter, "I'm going to pay for the coffee for this person," but don't tell them that it's me, and then you sneak out and you look, and then when the waiter tells them, "Oh, it's already been paid for," and they're like,
Yeah.
"What? Well, what?" It's so beautiful. I'm telling you. So I learned a lot through that too. But there is a funny one too, for the Western audience, I guess. Is he told me after that, once I do 2 Wednesdays feeding the needy, I should bring candy and fruits. Again, you're going to look at it from a context, of India. Candy and fruits to children on 5 Fridays in a row. Now, middle-aged white guy bringing candy and fruit to to kids in a city that I have no clue about. But I figured it out. I did figure it out. Obviously, I found a charity organization that this, but it broadens your horizons, and it helps you to just find out ways where it can really help people. And so that was I had many pujas, and these were 2 physical pujas that I had to do, apart from mantras and chants and so forth. As long as you do them on the prescribed day, you're good to go. It doesn't matter whether you do it at home or in a hotel room, because I travel 200, 250 days a year. A lot, way too much, I should say. So I did all my pujas in a different hotel room, really. And it's possible you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So we will send you the pictures of the gods and goddesses. All you got to do is just print them out. In your case, Erica, you just do it in your, you have a quiet corner in your house somewhere, and you put it on the wall. Don't use it as a screensaver, so not on your computer. Print it out and put it on a wall. black and white or color makes a difference. And then you can put some, candles if you want to, or incense or flowers, or just the basic picture is also fine, as long as you focus your attention to it. That's it. And after you've done the prescribed mantra, you can then add your own wishes, your own thoughts, your own meditation, because you're already in the mood. And the best times for doing these mantras is either when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed, because your mind is most relaxed at those two times. So that's the puja and puja reading. So a reading, what we do, we give a whole life reading, which means covering all aspects of life. So it takes an hour and a half to get it all done. And the reading itself gives you karma reading, as I said, and also the puja reading, which means all the homework that you need to do. Because a palm leaf has 12 chapters, and each chapter represents an aspect of your life, family life, kids, education, health, right? So in India, which is very much part of social life in southern India, they would go and get a chapter reading done because they're getting married now, or they want to get married. So is there someone for me? And they will give pretty precise, sometimes very precise description of your future mate, long hair, short hair, blonde, this, that. And I was like, oh my gosh, so, we have a pretty good idea what it is. Or they want to have kids, or, once they go through life, they have chapter readings. But, being in a Western society and people, in the West being very impatient. So what we do is we're just going to do the whole life reading in one, and then you're done with it. So one more time, the reason why you want to get a reading done is you want to improve the trajectory. That's the whole purpose. You want to overcome karma, if you do carry karma, and you just want to be prepared for the future, so that in case you have major life decisions to make, like should I turn left or right, the reading will tell you this is a good time to turn left or right, or to make up your mind about something, to buy a house, to move, to get married, to have kids. This, so positive and the negative, all of it is covered in such a reading. Then how come a white guy is talking about it? Because I have nothing to do with India. I early in life had to realize that life is not just milk and honey. I was born to a Persian father and an Austrian mother. So at 79, I went to flee the country because it was a revolution. I would have been killed because my family is Baha'i. They're not Muslim at all. And they were persecuted, tortured, and killed. So we went to Austria, and in Austria, 86, 87, some of you, the more mature audience, might remember the biggest catastrophe until that in the time in civilian history was Chernobyl. It burst, and it traveled about 1,000 kilometers and dumped its nuclear waste over Central Europe. And I was living at the time there, so I got cancer. So 3 years in and out of hospital, 6 months in 3 years I spent in hospital, cured me for life to become a physician, because otherwise I most likely would have become a physician, because we come from a physician family. Most of my cousins and uncles in their office. My brother's a physician too, but he didn't spend 3 years in hospital with cancer. So then, obviously as a 16-year-old kid, when I got cancer, I was angry. I was like, why me, man? I don't understand. I didn't do anything to deserve this. But then after 3 years, realizing that I'm the only one who, in my room, because I was in and out several times, most of the people that I shared the room with died. Died, but I survived. So at 19, I was like, God, why me? You know what I mean? Why did I survive and they didn't? So obviously that's what put me on a spiritual, if you wish, trajectory. And so I got a PhD, because the Dr. Q is not just for shits and giggles, it's actually hard earned. So then, but I'm not a corporate person at all. So I've been on a spiritual path. And 7 years ago, I had given the chemotherapy and the radiation and stuff, it weakened my body really. I have never recovered from it. The older I get, the more I can feel, the damage caused by, it's a 32-year old therapy methods. I'm sure by now it's better, but in those days, I was given the best treatment, but it's still 30 years ago. So 7 years ago, I had a major heart problem. A virus had attacked my heart, and I almost died. I ended up in the ICU again. Do not know which virus. The physicians told me, oh, it's a virus, but I don't know which one it is. They can see the damage it's causing. And so in the ICU, that's when I connected the dots, and I realized it must have to do with karma, because I think this lifetime I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't do crazy things. I'm a helper. I got daddy genes in me, and so forth. So that's when I connected the dots, and I told myself, inspired and motivated by my then girlfriend, whom you met, Emisha. She was with me at the booth. She said, "No, let's see if there's palm readings. Maybe it has to do with karma." I said, "Yeah, awesome. I'm totally into it." So I went on a search, and the reading, which just blew my mind. It's just wow. And again, I'm not a novice when it comes to spiritual things. Believe me, I've done more than most. From shamans to ayahuasca to, I don't know, sweat tents, you name it. Kinesiology and muscle testing. I don't know, rolfing and everything you can possibly think of. Now, group therapies, just to learn more about myself and the universe. But this blew my mind. Because I'm sitting here in front of an Indian guy, who doesn't speak English really. And again, you need to look at it from the context of a rural India. So this the reader's universe and the interpreter's universe is about 100 miles around their village. Your universe, Erica, is at least the US, because I'm sure you've flown all over the US, and it's bigger because you're Western educated human being, so it's more, so you've seen the world, at least to some extent. But they have not, to them, their universe, and I'm not talking internet and stuff. Of course, they have internet too and TV, but their life experience is about 100 miles radius around their small village. That's it. I mean, you and I will go nuts. It's hard for us to imagine this, but that's how they live. So when you're there, and in the matching process, the guy tells me, "Oh, you had a life-threatening disease as a teenager," and I just told you I had cancer. I was like, "Oh my gosh, how would you know this?" And they told me I got parents from 2 different continents.
Yeah. Wow.
I told you my mom's European mother's person. I said, "Oh my gosh, how would you know that?" So, and then when he tells me names that I sure as never heard before, because my father's name is Siavash, Persian guy, Siavash. You're like, what? Oh my God, how does he know? It's amazing. So the matching itself was wow. And then in the reading, he told me, you're going to be living in Budapest, in Hungary. And Budapest is how the Hungarians pronounce it. So Budapest is tourists, visitors. I'm just telling you. So that's the reason why I said Budapest, because the single S in Hungarian is like a sh sound in English. So he said, "Oh, you're going to be living in Hungary." Now imagine, again, if an Indian guy who has no clue, and I assure you, not because I'm disrespectful, so I'm just telling you, a radius of about 100 miles around his village. So an Indian guy tells you you're going to be living in Hungary. You think about it, like, it blows your mind, because Emma, whom you met, she is from Hungary, and I've been thinking of moving to Hungary, obviously, So when an Indian guy tells you that, you're like, "Oh my gosh, how do you know this? That's impossible." Not because he said so, I moved to Hungary, but it was like the last 1% to think, "Oh my gosh, I mean, obviously that's a cool move." So I moved there 6 years ago, and I'm loving it. I really do. It's a great time, for me as an expat, awesome. So he told me that, and he also told me that I will bring this to the West. This meaning palm readings. Again, those readers, listeners that don't see me, I'm a white guy. I've nothing to do with India. I've spent most of my life in travel and tourism. I had a travel business before. So I've been to many countries. I don't know, 100, more than 100. I've traveled the world. But I have nothing to do with India. Zero, apart from me being a traveler. That's it. I love India. I love the food, and I meditate every day. And I've been doing yoga for more than 20 years. So all this is correct, but I'm not Indian at all. But so when he told me this, I thought he's gaga. I was like, "What should I?" I said, I went there for healing. That's all I wanted, and that's it. But here I'm talking to you about it. So obviously the universe somehow collided, I guess, in pushing me into doing this. Simple reason being, when I started to tell the story, as excited as I'm still today talking to you about it, and I've been talking many, many, many times about it, people wanted to do it too. They said, "Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I want to do it too." But then the only way to do it is to go to India. And that's when I realized most people, Western people that is, would never go to India. They wouldn't. Because India is a challenge. It's not an easy travel destination. It's not. And I've been to India, of course, several times. I got an office in India. But to some people, the food's too spicy. I don't know, or the flight's too long, or you need to get inoculation to get there, and this and that, the other. So it was like, how can it be done? And that's when the whole thing started to get into what it is today, to doing it online. So the whole purpose of the institute is to make it as easy as possible for Western people to get a reading done without having to go to India. That's it. But it's live. It's real people that are in it. There is a reader, the educated person, and it takes years to become a reader. So I don't know how to read. I'm just a facilitator, if you wish. I'm just a humble connector of the seeker from wherever they might be from, and organizing, I guess, the office in India, plus a Western office, so that the seekers get the very best experience possible. Now, the whole calling is to make this, to keep the readers where they are, because just like anywhere else in the world, they're leaving this job for higher paying jobs in the north, IT and whatever it is that they want to do. So what we do is we overpay. We pay them more, much more actually, than they would ever earn just doing the job at home, with regular Indian clients. So they stay where they are and they preserve it, so that you get to have the benefit of having a reading done without having to go to India. So it's real people, a reader next to an interpreter. So we create jobs really. I train the interpreter, so they know how to deal with English speaking people, improve their accents. So they have a job, really. It's just the way it is. So reader and interpreter are a team, and in it, in the online call, which we do through Zoom, we have a Western person. We'll call him a moderator, the link between the seeker, you, and the Indian office. So the Western person's job is to hold your hand and be there with you the whole 3 hours, give or take. It takes 3 hours, the matching and the reading and the post reading to keep the best, because many people are so excited after the reading, they just need to share the experience with someone. So it takes about 3 hours. So the moderator's job is to just be there, hold your hand, and if you don't understand the Indian English, step in, say, that's what it means, reinterpret, so that your ears get used to the Indian accent. But after a while, your ears will get used to it, of course. But it takes a little while. And if you do understand the Indian accent, you might not necessarily understand the reading itself, the meaning of it. So if you have issues understanding what it actually means, then the moderator, who's also been trained by us, can step in and say, hey, that's what it means. And they so you get the most out of your reading. That is the purpose why I'm doing it. It's hence it's an institute, really. If I wanted to become a millionaire, I'd be doing something else. I'm telling you, it's hard work, it's labor, training the Indians and giving back to the Indians and talking about this and the other. But it makes me happy. So you asked me my elevator ride, help people, easy, help people, and make them happy, as best as I can. Wow. It's that's the whole purpose of it.
Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about our new sponsor, BetterHelp. As you know, we do everything we possibly can on the show to help people shift their perspectives to help them lead a healthy and happy life. That being said, sometimes we really just need someone to talk to directly that can help us navigate whatever challenge we're going through at that time. And if you're at that point in your life currently, BetterHelp makes this process super convenient by connecting you with a professional counselor in a safe and private environment, either on video, phone, or via text chats. BetterHelp has licensed therapists that specialize in almost any scenario you may be struggling with, such as depression, anxiety, grief, trauma, or relationship issues. And if you don't like the counselor you get assigned for any reason, you can request a new one at any time. Best of all, not only is it a convenient option, it's also affordable. And if you use the code POSITIVEHEAD, it's even more affordable because you get 10% off your first month. So if you're hearing this and you get the feeling that one of BetterHelp's 3,000 licensed therapists could help get you to where you want and deserve to be mentally, head over to betterhelp.com/positivehead and be sure to use the discount code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, to get 10% off your first month.
So you guys see why I find this so incredibly fascinating. And like you were saying, Dr. Q, like you've been around this world for a long time. You've done a lot of things and you've learned a lot. But when you found this, you were fascinated. That's exactly how I felt. Like there's lots of
Yes.
information out there. Lots of things are interesting. There's tons of things to learn. But for me to be like mind blown and fascinated is a really rare occurrence. And so this is why I was so excited to have you on to share this, because holy shit, like 3,000-year-old written poetic
Wisdom,
sound
yes. Yes.
is relevant to my life. It is my life now, is exactly the description.
Today.
And what I also find fascinating is that it changes year after year with your energies, with wherever your astrological, projections are in that year. So then, wow, that makes me think of so many other things, like, this universe is sound and vibration. So our energies, they're really changing our physical matter, because otherwise, how would our fingerprints look any different? Yeah. Is that true? Or am I just making that up in my head?
I mean, who knows? I mean, I know if for sure. I mean, as I said, when I had cancer, I realized that there is a lot more than meets the eye. A lot more. All we see, this whole thing, this talking of the world as we perceive it is 1%. The rest, 99%, with no clue about, and yet it's there, and it's much bigger than what we see. Guaranteed. We're just not capable of understanding it. I don't understand it either. I really don't. I'm just open to receive. That's all I can say. Like anyone else on this planet, where I'm like a little goldfish in a bowl, and all I see is like looking out and wondering what's out there. And yet I know there is something out there. I do, but I do not know what it is. And can I tap into it? Sometimes, sometimes it makes itself available through crazy things that happen to us. One of them being maybe a palm leaf reading. I do not know. It's hidden and yet available, or serendipity. I don't know, when we connect with other humans, and there, it's there. It for sure is there. I just do not. I can't explain it. I'm not smart enough. I'm just pretty face, as I say, with Botox.
I absolutely love this, because too, like, the fact that your leaf will be different means that you can change your life. Obviously, we have free will, and that we can just kind of pop on a different timeline. All of our decisions will change our trajectory. Yeah. Fascinating. Nothing is written in stone, even though these are written 3,000 years ago. Yeah, you change along with your bundle. I love it. Or your bundle, I don't know how to say that properly. I didn't just say that right, but you'll have a different bundle based on how you change.
It's true.
Amazing. Yeah. Yes.
Which means you can have several readings. You can. I had 2 readings so far. Because I know some people ask me, hey, can I have more than just 1 reading? Yes, you can. You can have many. I know one person 6 readings, I think. I had 2. The first one, obvious, because I told you about my first one. The second one was 2 reasons. One was curiosity, to be honest. Do I have a second one or not? And I wanted to know the reader. I wanted to test the reader. It was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I already had, we already had started the institute, and we're already working. And all I can be as a human being is be as ethical as possible, period. So I can only put my good name behind it, and that's all I have. We're registered in the United States, with taxes in the United States, that's all I can be. And so I need to make sure that the readers are good, and I can, you can all rest assured they are very awesome human beings, much, much more evolved than I am. They live and breathe it, really. And so the second reading, I just wanted to see, does he know what he's talking about? And I was curious too, how would that look like? And I'm the same person. So, I mean, again, these are 2 separate readers, 2 separate, everything. They did not know anything about my other reading. So to see that, it's still me, he described me very well. Obviously, the matching was just as fascinating. The reading itself was also me. It was repeating stuff that I already had heard in my first reading, but it had changed, Like in my first reading, I was told that 77 to 79, that's the age bracket, I'll get a heart attack and die. Now, to hear that I'll die of a heart attack makes most sense to me, given that I had a major heart issue, and I only did the reading because I survived it. But the reader said, and there's a puja, as I said, every challenge, most challenges, there is a puja, and he will tell you what you need to do. And he said, no, if you do this, then, and if you really did it from the bottom of your heart, you could fix it. And you can't fix the heart attack. It'll be minor still, but you survive and you continue to live into your 80s. And he said, if you really did it with full-heartedly, then there will be the gift of longevity. Gift of longevity in a reading means that the reader cannot tell you the bracket in which you die, the block of years. So it could be 80, 82, whatever. So he said 82, and then you have gift of longevity, which means 82 and 1 day, and I'll die, or 99 years of age, because he does not know. It's the gift of longevity. So that was my first reading. The second reading, the reader said, oh, you got the gift of longevity right away. You know what I mean? So it's me, totally me. I was me, like the spiritual person I am, and this and that. But I could see changes already in. And the second reader, funny enough, said, "Are you involved in this somehow?" And for those of you who don't who listen to this, meaning I just showed Erica the bundle, meaning are you involved in palm leaf readings? He was kind of surprised. So he's like, because I'm a white guy, and I'm a white guy. And yeah, I said, yeah, I am. And so anyway, so that's same person, but improved, if you wish, improved trajectory. And he told me that I'm on the right path, which means, what I'm doing is good for humanity. Oh, in the reading, you're also being told if it's your last life or not. And if it's your last or second last, he will tell you it's your second, you have to come back one more time, or it's already your last. I mean, we'll tell you that. And if he doesn't tell you that, well, then enjoy the ride, because you're going to come back several more times. But if it's your last life, and sometimes also if it's your the second last life, is that you have to you have special duties, because you're not coming back. After this means nirvana, moksha. So he will tell you you have special pujas. The pujas are usually time limited, it takes 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever. And but you have lifelong pujas. From the moment he tells you that, you cannot ignore it anymore, because he just told you it's your last life and you got to do X, Y, and Z until you die. And that's usually helping others, some social duties, spiritual duties, guiding people somehow, making their lives better. He will tell you in more detail what it is for you personally. But it's special duties that one shall not neglect, because it's your last life and we're here to help others to begin with. Yeah, so I just interjected you.
That's perfect. No, I mean, the more you can tell us, the better, because
it's fascinating. Yes.
I bet. I mean, this really is. Again, I'm just going to say. I mean, it blows my mind. And to have this kind of outline where you can change your life for the better. What's more valuable than that? I mean, yes, there's lots of things cool, interesting, fun, but how can I use this to better my life, to help myself? That's exactly what this is for. Like, yes, it's cool. Also, big things. We can do big things with this. So I want to tell you guys, so our friend, Julia, she did a testimonial for you, which is why I'm talking about her. Julia Cannon, Dolores Cannon's daughter, did this reading. And I just want to say that this reading pulled up for her that her work is specifically, they said, quantum healing. How? Whoa. 3,000 years ago, the word quantum wasn't really, not a thing.
Didn't exist.
Amazing. I mean, the minute she told me about her reading, she said, my name, my mom's name, my father's name, where I live, what I do. I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm signing up. This is definitely what I'm going to do, because not only am I super curious,
it's amazing,
but I would really like some help in, how can I improve? What's out there for me? Great to know. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to die at 60, maybe I can prevent that. Right? Yeah.
You can. They will tell you. Like, I mean, it's important to tell you that the reading is very, very individualized. Even though it covers whole life. All aspects of life, family life, and love affairs, and kids and grandchildren, this and the other. But to an 18-year-old, let's say you're 18 years old and you get a reading done because you got to be at least 18, or the year you turn 18, that's when you can have a reading done. That's the earliest you can. They accept it, and you can be 80 as well. So people think, oh, if I'm 80 years old, then my reading will be very short. And if I'm 18, then it's a very long reading, because life is coming to an end. Yet, I should tell you, no. If you're 18 or 80, the reading is always, give or take, an hour and a half. You might be shocked to hear that. Because it focuses on, intrinsically, what's important to you. So to an 80-year-old, her career means nothing, right? You're 80 years old, there is no career. But what's important to an 80-year-old, and I can tell you because my mom had a reading done 2 years ago. She was 70, 71 when she had a reading, and I can tell you about that reading too. All that's important to a more mature person is the kids and the grandchildren, period. Everything else doesn't really matter. And to an 18-year-old, when you start talking about the grandchildren, goes in one ear and out the other because it's so far away. They're like, whatever. You still get the information, but it's not important to you at that moment. So as an 18-year-old, what's important to you is your career, obviously, your love life, that's what's the immediate future. To everyone else also, the very first few years after the reading, so I was 41, I think, when I got the reading done. So, 42, 43, 44, 45, that's like what you're most interested in, because it's the farther away it is, they're like, okay, who knows about what's going to happen in 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And so it's very, very focused on you as an individual and what's important to you, which means if your karma or your energy setup is so that family life is important. So we'll talk a lot about your family life, kids and grandchildren, this and the other. If your health is important, like even though you're not aware of it, but if health is important, readers will go into giving you very specific and lengthy, foods that you're supposed to eat and foods that you're not supposed to eat. They will literally tell you, this. It takes a while, And I've had many readings where they don't even talk about food at all, not at all. But then there are people like, oh my gosh, for 10 minutes, this is good, this is not good, juice, blah, 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 blah. And people are like, oh my gosh, and they just told me exactly what. I was like, yeah, because it's very important to you to get this reading done. And because you were at the show, which was just 2 weeks ago, the Conscious Life Expo, I had a lady who flew in from Arizona. Gigi, her name, because she gave a testimony, so I can use her name. Gigi Williams. She's a retired teacher, and she had a reading done last year. She was at the booth last year. She left her thumbprints, and then she came back this year to tell me and give a video testimonial. That's how blown away she was, because it saved her life. She said she had not been to her annual checkup in 9 years because she was afraid of, maybe some bad news, getting a checkup done. And in the reading, believe it or not, the reader told her, you must do your annual checkup. He had no clue that she's skipping checkups, you know what I mean? So it's mind-blowing. So I never heard of this. So he tells her, you have to do an annual checkup. She said, okay. So a month later, she had her checkup. And so that's a year ago. Obviously, I don't know that if she had her thumbprints in February, let's say her reading was in April, May, something like that, because it takes a while. And then so she had her annual checkup, and they found out that she had cancer, but only stage 1 cancer. So it was curable. And then she got chemotherapy right away, radiation therapy. And then she came to the booth 2 weeks ago as a cured woman, She said, look, had I not done the checkup, by now I might be dead because I would have never gone to checkup. By now it would be maybe too late, and incurable. So she came to give a testimonial that it told me saved her life and that she's ever so grateful for this. And it humbled me. It's like, wow, thank you for doing so. It's just another example for being a highly individualized reading, what's important to you. Like in her case, they also told her what to eat and what not to eat, was important because she's not looking after her own health, or when it comes to diet point of view, what's good and what's not good. And it's up to you to follow the advice or not, because nobody's holding a gun against your forehead saying you must. No, it just gives you a guideline, and then you're mature enough and you got free will and choice to follow the advice or say, bugger all of that, I do whatever I want to do. Fine. So it's a guideline, really. That's just what it is.
When I hear you tell me all that, what I think about is how much this process is guided by our higher selves.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. That's just what I hear when you're telling me that, because I mean, wow, just to anyone who's even listening to this podcast to be inspired by it, to want to do a reading, there is all of that is your higher self guiding you. And then when the reader is reading for you, I'm sure that there's a working in there as well. I just love this, Q. I love it.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm fascinated too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. Of course not. It's quite some. As far as I know, I'm the only Western person doing it. Like we are established in the West to make it easy for people. There are Indians that offer it, online too, in India. But I know for the average Western person to get involved with an Indian website is not so likely. Let's put it that way. So what we do is I try to be as as down to earth and as normal as I possibly can be, really, because there is no juju, there is no magic behind it. I just am a regular guy who was an academic before, who ran a business before, a pretty big one, but it's very spiritual. Like maybe many other people out there too. They run regular lives, have a regular job, a matrix job. Because I met someone at Conscious Life. He said, "I got a matrix job."
I love that.
Like, what's that? He's like, did you watch the movie? I was like, "Oh, you mean cubicle job?" I said, "Yeah, cubicle job." But he flies to Conscious Life to just feed his soul.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to his cubicle job. So, I'm a normal guy. I like most other people out there, was running a regular life, spiritually aware, conscious, but nonetheless, we have to make a living and do some. And I just stumbled upon it, and that I'm doing this is not plannable. I'm telling you, you cannot plan this. You cannot wake up and say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," because how?
Right.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I want to make it as easy and as accessible as possible for people. And we give back. So your money also helps the Indians to continue doing whatever they're doing. And so we're creating jobs and yeah. So I'm just a face, really. I'm just a conduit. I'm just putting it together. And there are many other people involved in this, obviously, not just me.
Sure.
But
it's extensive, the amount of work that goes into each reading.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. People...
And I just want to tell the audience a little bit about how you give back. And it blows my mind, again, on top of all of this, and amazes me that, so here, you guys, here's how this works. So you pay just to have them go find your bundle.
Correct.
If they don't find your bundle, what Dr. Q does, he refunds your freaking money. That is insane. I mean, it's wonderful. It's such a beautiful service that you provide. And I'll just tell you all that what I decided to do, because there's so much work going into it, and because Dr. Q is actually the one then donating this money to keep this going in India, I said, you don't find my bundle, I don't want my money back, because that's my donation to this, So if any of you who want to do this, want to do that too, that'd be really cool to contribute. And if you can't, not a big deal. That's why he gives you your money back. So cool.
Yes, correct.
I love this.
Yes. You're welcome. Sure.
Yeah.
Again, all I can do is just be as ethical as I possibly can be, so people understand there is no magic involved. There is no, some people are aware that back in India, they're going to hack your social security number and then find all about, there is not enough money involved, So when I tell you that some of my readers don't even have a bathroom, a toilet in their apartment, they got to go outside and do their business. So do you really think that they waste 1 second of their waking lives thinking about, oh, how can we somehow find you on Facebook and then know who you are? If this is a worry of yours, then just
Then don't
don't
do
do
it.
it.
Right. Exactly.
It's
It's
just
not
that
for you
simple.
then. It's
Don't
not
do
your
it.
time.
It's not for you. It's just the way it is,
Right.
you know. All I can say is that I try to be as honest, as open about how we do it, and so forth. Hence, we are registered in the United States, not in India. In California, you know, which has the toughest consumer protection laws in the whole United States. So we are doing it as best as I possibly can to ensure people that they're protected. But nonetheless, everything happens in India. It does. And if you have any doubt about any of it, then please don't do it, because there is nothing I can tell you to make you change your mind. Either you trust or you don't trust. It's that simple. And on top of it, as Erica already said, you know, we refund your money. So all we charge is $100 for the search of the bundle, and it's a physical act. So you got to be patient, as I told you in the beginning, because the reader goes from one archive to the next, to the next, to the next, and it takes a while. And we search for 6 months. But usually, you know, having done this it's our 6th year now in operation, about a month or two, you know, give or take on average. It can be 4 months as well, but on average, a month or two, they will find a bundle, at least one, if not 2 or 3. And then you will get notified saying, "Hey, congratulations, Erica, we found a bundle." And then we send you another link. Usually, for the matching and the reading, it's $400. So it's $100 for the search. We don't find a bundle in 6 months, you get your money back. And if you do find, it becomes non-refundable, because no matter what happens, I got to pay the Indians anyway. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. So we find a bundle, then it becomes non-refundable because we found what we promised you to do. And then you can then decide to have the matching and the reading done. And that's usually $400 plus the 100 that you already paid. So it's $400 for the matching and the reading. And then once you have done that, you pay the $400. You then can choose the day for your matching and reading. Monday through Sunday, we operate 7 days a week, unless there is certain holidays. And I don't talk about Western holidays. I talk about Indian holidays, like Diwali, or the big ones, where it's just too noisy to have a reading done. You know, there are firecrackers all over the place and so forth. So there are maybe 2-3 weeks during the year where we can't operate at all due to the Hindu traditions. But most of the year we operate 7 days a week, and we offer 2 readings per day, so 2 time slots. It's either, so you can choose the day, that's not an issue, but you cannot choose the time. You can only pick one of these 2, because the time zone difference with India. So to my California-based people, India is 14 hours ahead of us, 14, and to my East Coast-based people, it's 10 hours ahead of us, okay? So it's a lot of time zone difference. Hence, we offer either for my California-based people, so West Coast people, I should say, 9:45 p.m. West Coast time, 9:45 p.m., which means it goes till about 1 a.m. West Coast time. So then 9:45 p.m. West Coast time equals 12:45 a.m. East Coast time, right? So if you're a night owl and you live on the East Coast, you can choose 12:45 a.m. East Coast time, which equals 9:45 p.m. West Coast time, right? So that's one time slot, or 6:45 a.m. East Coast time. You just get up and do 6:45 a.m. is not so harsh, and get your reading done. So which means by 10 you're done. So it's a morning reading for the East Coast people. But if you're a night owl, as I said, because we have a lot of different people, we not only cater to North Americans, we got Australians and Europeans and so forth. So 6:45 a.m. East Coast time equals 3:45 a.m. West Coast time. So you can choose that time too. Because we have night shift people, so we do either way. So 2 time slots, you can choose which one you want, because we use a system that automatically detects your time zone. When you click on the link that we send you, it suggests already the time for you, but you can always say, hey, no, I want to change and do the other one. That's possible. So you cannot choose. You can choose a day, no issues. Whatever day is available, obviously, and you can choose one of the 2 times. But you cannot say, hey, can I do it an hour later or 2 hours earlier? No, you can't. It's set. That's just because The Indians have to travel so that we go the real extra mile. The reader and the interpreter travel on average, because we work with different readers, obviously. They travel about an hour to an hour and a half one way to come to the office. So we have a stable internet connection there, right? And then they got to travel back home after the readings as well. So to them, 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., the last reading is over, then they go home. You know what I mean? And India is chaotic. We've lost already one interpreter and one major accident because the crazy traffic there in India. They drive without any lights, and there's it's just chaos. It's terrible, really, if I may say so, with all due respect, of course. But it's just, to a Western person, is quite an experience, the traffic there. So hence, it's not negotiable. These are the two time zones, the time slots that we agreed and established in our office in India, and you choose whatever you want. And so that's that. So with the $400, and if we cannot match an individual palm leaf within your bundle, you get your matching money back too.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I can only be as forthcoming as I possibly can be. Now, what's the likelihood of having a bundle? Now, if you have an inner calling, then 99%, 98% you have a bundle. You do. The only way that you don't have a bundle, that's the reason why I tell people too, don't force gift someone with this. Because if they don't want to do it, why should there be a bundle for them? Do you know what I mean? But if you have a calling because you have curiosity is good enough, or you have to make a major decision in your life, or like me, do you think you have karma issues? Then it's strong enough for a bundle to be there for you, or at least 2 or 3, because it's not just one bundle. There's several. There are maybe thousands, tens of thousands of bundles that have the same thumbprint name, obviously, because there are many palm leaves found. And once they find a bundle, then the likelihood of a matching is 99.9%. The only reason, and we had that already in our institute, why there is no matching is not because of the reader or the interpreter, it's because of you. People are so excited during the matching process, and I know so because I've done many readings, that they sometimes forget how many kids they have or grandchildren, or they give inconsistent, incoherent answers. And so obviously the reader cannot match you to a palm leaf. If you say, I got 5 grandchildren, and they say, no, I got 3 grandchildren, then no match, obviously, right? Or if you miscount how many letters your name has, Erika, 5. So if you say 6, because he will tell you, oh, your name has 5 or 6 letters, and you say, no, incorrect. Well, then he goes to the next palm leaf, which means he might have missed your palm leaf, right? So, and we know that already, that people are so excited that they forget their names, or they don't know exactly how many letters their name has. I know you're laughing, but I'm telling you,
because that's going to be me, Q. That's why you're going to need to watch me and be like, are you sure that's the answer, Erica? Are you sure you're paying attention?
I was super excited, yes, myself. So what we do is we send the form beforehand and you just fill it in. You put down your first name. I know it sounds funny, but you put down Erica, how many letters that it have, 5, your mother's name, your father's name, you put it all down for yourself. I don't need to see it. It's for you to refer to during the matching process. It makes it easier.
Yeah, right? I can see that.
And then your time of birth, your date of birth, these things that you can verify yourself, and it's with you. I don't need to see it, neither the reader, but it's good for you. It's just a little help to identify you in the matching process. So it's $100 plus $400, and you always have money back guarantee. And the easiest will be to sign up online. If you go to our website called IndianPalmLeafReading.com, IndianPalmLeafReading.com. And right there, it says, give me more information. You put down your name and your email address, and you will then automatically get information from us, a little video where I'm in it and telling you quickly in 10 minutes what the whole thing is all about. And then you can pay $100, and we tell you how to capture your impression, your thumbprint. It's very important. What we do is we send you a form, a blank form, really. It's not, it says gender, you're circling male or female. It says country of birth. You put down your country of birth, and then most of it is empty for you to put down your thumb impression. Now that's a very important step, because if I cannot see your fine lines, then the reader cannot see it, and then we cannot identify your palm, your thumbprint name. So you need to organize somehow an ink pad, or borrow it from the office if you wish. Red, black, blue makes no difference. Color makes no difference. And then you need to cover the from the tip of your thumb to the midsection, the whole thing, cover it nicely so that all the the fine lines are really covered. And then you put your thumbprint on that piece of paper that you print out. And again, very important for me to tell you is you go down straight. No rolling. That's Hollywood. Hollywood movies, is rolling. No good. The reality of it is you go down straight. You don't have to press too hard either. And because most of it is empty, so you can practice, many times. And as soon as you can see all the fine lines, it's a good impression. And then you take a picture of it with your smartphone or scan it, and then you upload it to a link that we send you into our system. We'll have a look at it and say, yep, cool, goes to India, and then the search starts. And then you got to be patient. Obviously, as I explained to you a few times already, because it's a physical act. It's no computers.
Sure, it can take up to 6 months.
And it could, yeah. So the longest was like, we just had one, 5 months and 2 weeks. Like pushing.
Almost didn't find it, yeah.
The deadline, yeah. But so that's the reason why I said it's not for me. It's not a random 6 months. It's the readers telling me that up to 6 months it's possible. Because again, if you look at your energy field, it's 1 year. So according to the system, your energy changes every year. So within the 6 month period, you're pushing. If there's like a circle around you, a 1 year circle, so you're pushing the edge of your 1 year circle around you, on either end. So they can find one within 6 months. They can. And once you go beyond the 6 months period, then obviously it's not meant to be this time, but you can start a new search next year because your energies will have changed by then.
Sure.
And then you
Makes
start
sense.
a new search.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
so anybody who wants to do this, all they need to do is go to your website, indianpalmleafreading.com. Yeah. Yes,
indianpalmleafreading.com. I don't know if you put it on, they can read it, or I can send you some information about the indianpalmleafreading.com. It's super easy. And then I'm happy to give you a discount. We talked about it before, to your readership. Sorry, listenership, to the audience. I give so many talks, I sometimes forget if it's an audio book that you're writing now.
What am I doing?
So I apologize. Yeah. It's fun enough because I travel 200 plus days a year, 220, 240 days. Sometimes I wake up.
I bet you do.
It's crazy. Yeah. So when you sign up, because it tells you first name. All we need is your first name. You can put on your last name if you want to, but your email address, and then it says, "How did you hear about us?" And if you put down Positive the name Head. Of the show. Positive Head, I guess one word, Positive Head, yeah. And we'll give you $100 off, because then we know that you listen to this podcast or watch it on YouTube. I know it's going to be on YouTube as well. And so we give you $100 off of your matching. So you got to put down $100 for the search no matter what. And then instead of paying $400 for the matching and the reading, you'd only be paying $300, because the system will know that you heard about us through this podcast. Positive Head, or Erica. You also put on Erica. We can love
whatever
to
you
honor. If you just say Erica or Dr. Erica, you can say that too. Of course, honor to whom the honor is due. That's also fine, because then I know, I put it in the system, so the system automatically recognizes how you heard about the show. Erica, Dr. Erica, Positive Head. And then you get a discount.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. That's huge. And you guys, when I first heard the price, I was like, whoa, that is super reasonable for what you're getting. So, sure. It's actually, pretty inexpensive, I would say, for what you're getting. All the amount of hours alone, so, and then, yes, what you're getting out of it, just, it's life-changing. So priceless.
It's mind-blowing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Priceless. So, well, thank you so much for being with me today and sharing your work, because I know many people are going to find it as fascinating as I do. And
it is
so
fascinating.
I just have one last question for you before we are out of here for today. But in 30 seconds or less, what is the meaning of life to Dr. Q?
The meaning of life. Oh my God. That's been my biggest struggle.
Everyone's, right? What is the meaning of life?
Why the hell am I here? Because I don't look at our planet too kindly, to be honest with you. It's a harsh environment. It really is, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about the crazy shit that humans do to other humans, just the environment per se, the density of Earth that we got to kill to live. That itself blows my mind. Why do we have to kill to live? And now my vegetarians and vegans say, oh, I don't kill to live. I'm like, yeah, but the system per se is set up like that. Animals kill animals to live. And that this is beyond me. Why do I have to be here? So the meaning of life is, I don't know, survive as best as you can, I guess. I don't know, be kind, despite all the, despite struggles and obstacles, to remain, kind. I think kindness is very important, kind and humble, and give back as best as you can, really, because that's all we can do, really. That's all I can do. In at the end of the day, money matters not very much to me, really, as long as I can do basic things. I don't even own a watch. I don't own a car, crazy as it is, you know what I mean? So it means not a lot to me. But if I can be kind, that's or forgive kind, that means a lot. Also, when I observe it in other people, when I observe that, I proactively acknowledge that. I know it sounds a little crazy, but if I observe somebody being kind or going out of their way for someone, I give feedback. Like people online give crazy feedback right away. That was terrible. This was bad. And I never write negative feedback. But if I observe a kind gesture, I really go and I ask them, how can I give feedback so people know that you went out of your way to be helpful, so that's, I know it's more than 30 seconds, so I apologize.
No, I love it. I love it. It sounds like you are single-handedly making the world a better place, because kindness really is the best way to make people happy. Did you know that it increases serotonin in the brain for the person doing it, the person receiving it, and the person observing it? So I just love that. Yeah. And if I were to describe Dr. Q in 2 words, it would be kind and humble. So beautiful.
Thank you. My mom taught me well. My mom taught me well. What can I say?
Good job,
my dad too, actually. I had a wonderful dad too. I really did.
Beautiful.
And, you can find us on social media, Indian Palm Reading on Facebook. I personally hate social media, to be honest with you. I really do. I'm not a big fan, but these days you got to have it. So we're on Facebook, Indian Palm Reading. We're on Instagram, Indian Palm Reading. You can find me also, because I've been in the healing world for 25 years. So Dr. Q Moayad on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. We got a big YouTube channel too. If you have any questions, just send us an email to info@indianpalmreading.com or drq@indianpalmreading.com, and we're more than happy to get back to you and help as best as I can.
Excellent. Cool. Thank you so much. And you guys, I will definitely keep you posted about my reading and when it comes in, and I'm really excited, and I'm not going to get too excited because I'm going to be detached from whether or not anything is found, but I know I have a bundle. So
I already threatened to be your moderator.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Cool.
So thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, love you all.
Thank you. Namaste.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.